Hello, humans. Hello, humans. November 25. And as the clock ticks into the late afternoon, while the crowds out there are scrambling to prepare for coastal flooding or worrying about those trivial, yada yada matters of no real importance, I want you to pause for a moment and kindly indulge me in a much more interesting and core concept that is operating right beneath our feet. Most humans, and when I say most, I mean almost all 8 billion people crowded onto this planet, are living in an eternal sleep, completely unaware of the true nature of the reality they experience every day. The naked truth is that all humans are co-creators of the very reality in which they live. They are painting the material world, creating the matter they are actually sitting on, touching it, manifesting it through vibrations and intents from the depths of their minds without even knowing it. Very, very few humans understand that they are actually performing this act of co-creation in every single second, because this is an automatic mechanism of consciousness tied to the physical body in this material world. This mechanism is not magic. It works based on resonance. When you emit a signal, you are painting a vibration that draws energy and creates a response, a reflection from what is variously called the monad, the pleroma, or the abundant fullness. Imagine this universe, or that monad, acting like a giant infinite mirror. It does not judge, it does not care what you want in terms of human morality. It simply responds to the energy resonance you emit. To better understand this indulgence of the monad toward human consciousness, look at what modern scientists are doing. Look at the guys at CERN with their giant particle collider. They have spent billions of dollars hunting for the so-called God particle, or the smallest building blocks of matter. And I will tell you a secret. They will never be able to stop. They will never find the end of matter. Why? Because the universe, the pleroma, is quite happy to accommodate their desire for ever smaller particles as long as they keep the intent of looking for smaller particles. The monad will keep creating even smaller particles for them to find. It will provide endless material evidence to satisfy their microscopes and their curiosity. Science, in this case, is just a self-fulfilling prophecy where the observer's intent constructs the object observed, and the monad is always happy to provide the raw material for that game. But returning to us as individuals, how does this co-creation process happen within your biological body? It is not as vague as theoretical preaching. It has a specific biological basis. Look at your brain. We have a special spot called the claustrum, which is the convergence point where secretion from the pineal gland and the pituitary gland are joined. In ancient texts or the Bible, this is cited as the land of milk and honey, and they are speaking in a literal biological sense, not figuratively, a white fluid and a yellow fluid mixing at this point. The claustrum is the seat of consciousness, the seat of awareness. However, the energy to co-create reality, though originating from that consciousness, is activated through a more specific process involving 3 factors: an intent, an emotional tonality, and a specific physical location in the body. This physical location is crucial. It has a mental analog in the grander field of consciousness. This means that point exists both in your body and in consciousness. It is the bridge between the material realm and the mental realm. You can activate and manipulate this mental analog, mind-only aspect, and that very act triggers the corresponding physical aspect. When you do that, you are 1/3 of the way toward setting up a resonance. And when you place a mental imagining gore, your intentito, that location, accompanied by a corresponding emotional tonality, you are sending out a command. Pay attention. This process is complex but not complicated, and it requires smoothness with no internal conflict. If you do it right, the reality around you must bend, it must alter its structure to fulfill that command of yours. And this is the crux of what religions and dogmatic systems have hidden from you for thousands of years. They teach you to pray, they teach you to beg, they teach you to hope. But I must tell you straight, praying, requesting, asking, or begging are all actions that will defeat you from the start. Why? Because the universe does not operate on the mechanism of giving alms to beggars. If you bring the mindset of lack to beg, the monad will reflect back that very lack. The co-creation mechanism is a command sent to the pleroma, to the abundant fullness that is creating everything around us constantly. Religions create dogma precisely to block your mind from performing this conscious co-creation. Once you understand this mechanism, you will see their hierarchy as a bunch of horse shit and you no longer have any need for them. But ironically, we are living in a reality where 8 billion people are co-creating unconsciously, like pigs who are completely ignorant of boat navigation, yet are sitting on the boat. We create the ground beneath our feet. We create our living circumstances, yet we think they are objective things imposed upon us. This ignorance is the gap, the fatal weakness. Because if humans are powerful reality-creating engines but do not know how to use the buttons, what happens if other entists, those who understand the laws of the monad better than we do, decide to step in and push those buttons for us? What happens when space aliens use their superior understanding of the pleroma to manipulate our eternal now? That is the context we face on this day, November 25, when names like 3I Atlas begin to appear not as mere astronomical phenomena, but as software installed into humanity's operating system to steer the ship of reality in a direction we did not choose. If we accept the brutal truth that humans are powerful but blind creatures, beings who are continuously constructing reality without having the slightest clue what they are doing, then we are forced to confront an even more terrifying question. Is there anyone else in the room with us? This universe is vast, and the Manat, the abundant fullness, is dealing with all kinds of life, not just humans. And this is where the story shifts from philosophy to a chilling reality about the survival of consciousness. Imagine other entities, space aliens, or whatever name you wish to call them, who have arrived here not in metallic ships piercing the atmosphere with noise, but by sliding gently into the eternal now that we are sharing. They do not need to invade your physical space. They only need to intrude upon your time and perception. These entities might be much smarter than us, not in the sense of higher IQ or better technology, but simply because they are much more clued in. They fully understand that the monad exists, and they thoroughly grasp the laws of co-creation. While humans are still busy arguing over which religion is correct, these uninvited guests do not give a shit about any of your religions or belief systems. To them, human religion is just a joke, a mind fuck, nothing more and nothing less. They may even view our delusion as a brilliant strategic advantage. Why? Because when your mind is locked down by dogma, you lose the ability to co-create. Consciously, dogma is designed to block that very aspect, but your unconscious creative energy still pours out in torrents. And that is exactly what they crave. They can insinuate themselves into our eternal now in a sophisticated fashion, and through their superior understanding of the monad, they begin to manipulate the human machine to serve their own purposes. Let's discard the Hollywood scenarios where aliens abduct humans or take over our bodies in a mechanical or dictatorial fashion. They do not need to do anything so crude. Their method is far more elegant and dangerous, They turn humanity into a vast slave engine. To do this, they don't need to implant chips in your brain. All they need to do is get a particular image into a particular part of our collective head and ensure that we have a particular feeling and emotional tonality at the exact moment that image is present. This is the mechanism of hacking reality. When the image and the emotion meet, it starts off a resonance. If they plant the image of a threat from space like 3IATLAS Atlas in your head and trigger fear or confusion in you at the same time, then it is you, not them, who sends the command to the monad to materialize that threat. We, in our innocence, can very easily be duped into providing them with the weapons for our own defeat. We become the fuel. We become the construction workers busily building the very cage that imprisons us, or bending reality to follow the script they desire. You might ask, why would they do this? Perhaps they need our energy, or perhaps using a species with such powerful co-creation abilities as humans, as an engine, helps them achieve reality adjustments that they cannot achieve alone. Whatever the purpose, the result is that we are being turned into tools. This intrusion has already happened. It is not a matter of the future. They are here, right in our now, sharing their presence in this field of consciousness. Those with a poor internal life, those who only know how to chase news and external dogma, will never notice their presence. But those who have practiced co-creation, those who have built a very rich internal life and have understood themselves over the years, they will feel something unusual. They will feel the presence of these space aliens out in the eternal now doing their whatever the hell. They will smell the scent of strangers walking in the spiritual house of humanity. We need to wake up and realize that this war is not happening in the sky with laser guns, but right inside your mind, right at the intersection where the image you see meets the emotion you generate. If you do not control that process, if you let the fear of 3IATLAS Atlas or any other event hijack your emotional tonality, you are fueling that slave engine. They don't need to kill us off, because if we all die, who will operate this reality engine for them? They need us alive, but living in fear and being led. That is why this silence before the storm is so terrifying. It is not peace, but the preparation for a massive collective activation, where 8 billion brains simultaneously issue a wrong command to the universe, opening the door for them to enter and master the playground that should have belonged to us. Now, let us shift your attention from abstract concepts of aliens to the specific object dominating every media channel, the thing they call 3IATLAS Atlas. You look at blurry photos, colorful orbital simulations released by NASA or ESA, and you think you are seeing a celestial body, a frozen rock traveling through the solar system, but that is deadly naivety. In this grand game of co-creation, 3IATLAS Atlas is not a rock. It is a hook, a sigil, sophisticatedly designed to fasten tight into the collective mind of humanity. Remember what I said about the reality creation process. For a command to be sent to the monothe abundant fullness, it requires the combination of a specific image at a specific location in the head, accompanied by a corresponding emotional tonality. 3IATLAS Atlas is that specific image, the first variable in the equation to destroy our free will. Why the name Atlas? In mythology, Atlas is the guy who has to carry the whole sky on his shoulders. How ironic and symbolic, because it is exactly humanity who are being turned into Atlas, duped into carrying the heavy reality that those entities want to impose. When the image of this object is disseminated, it doesn't just go into your eyes, it goes straight into that physical location in the brain responsible for activating the resonance with the universe. Those intruders, those clued-in aliens, they know exactly how to operate the mental analog of that location. They don't need to invade Earth with force. They just need to place the image of 3IATLAS there like a seed, and let your fear do the rest of the work. This is where the concept of the slave engine becomes clearest and most terrifying. Imagine 8 billion humans, each a powerful energy transmitter, but being synchronized by the same image and the same fear. When you see news about 3 Atlas and feel anxious, panicked, or even curious about destruction, you are providing fuel for this engine. You are creating a massive resonance that shakes the field of consciousness. The monad, or the pleroma, in its objective and accommodating operation, does not distinguish between good or bad intent, voluntary or manipulated. It just sees a powerful signal from Earth requesting a scenario of invasion or disaster, and it starts to bend reality to fulfill that command. We, the pigs clueless about boat navigation, are being tricked into steering the ship of reality straight into the iceberg we just painted. Agencies like NASA, mainstream scientists, they might just be unwitting pawns or blind accomplices in this play. They provide data, numbers, high-resolution, images all, acting as catalysts to sharpen that image in your head, making the command sent to the monad sharper and more powerful. They think they are doing science, but in reality, they are reinforcing the dogma of the objectivity of matter, making you believe 3i Atlas is an external threat rather than an internal reflection. And dogma, as I said, is designed to block your conscious co-creation ability. When you believe in the physical danger of that rock, you surrender your power to it. You turn it from an illusion into a real monster with claws. Those entities out there, they understand that they cannot create physical reality at this density as powerfully as we can, we who carry biological bodies tied to matter. They need to borrow that ability. They need us as proxies. 3 Atlas is the excuse, the anchor point for them to hook into our energy flow. They sow memes, propaganda themes, and slogans through pop culture and news to ensure that as 3i Atlas approaches, humanity's emotional tonality peaks in negativity or submission. It is a sophisticated invasion into the eternal now. They are here, right now. Slithering in your thoughts as you read this, checking if the 3i Atlas hook has dug deep into your cerebral cortex. Don't think you can resist this by digging bunkers or hoarding food. That is a physical response, and it is useless in a war of consciousness. If you fear, you lose. If you pray to God to save you from 3i Atlas, you also lose, because that act of begging affirms your powerlessness and gives more energy to the reality you are trying to avoid. It is an attitude that defeats you. This hook is designed to catch weak minds relying on dogma. Only cold awareness, emotional detachment, and the ability to control that mental analog in your head can disable it. 3 Atlas is just a test. If we fail, we become an energy source, an animal farm providing reality for the herders. But if we realize what that hook is just an image, a visual deception we can refuse to bite. The universe will not create a disaster without a command from us. Don't let them use your finger to pull the trigger of the gun pointed at your own head. At this point, as we have peeled back the camouflage of 3i Atlas and seen the hook hanging there in the space of consciousness, the only question remaining is not, will it hit us? But do you master your own mind? This is the real battlefield. No underground bunker can protect you if your mind has opened the door to let the enemy into the house. This war happens in silence, right between the gaps of thought, where the difference between the master and the slave is decided by the ability to control the emotional tonality in the face of these assaulting images. Most people, the sleepers, will react according to animal instinct. See danger, feel fear, see something strange, feel curiosity. And that automatic reaction is the signature approving the slave contract. They do not know that their emotion is the fuel, the current running into the machine that those entities are operating. How do you know if you are being hacked, being intruded upon? Observe your dreams. Observe the random thoughts that pop into your head while driving or washing dishes. If you find yourself obsessed with catastrophic scenarios, feeling an invisible anxiety with no clear cause, or constantly wanting to check the news about 3i Atlas like an addict, that is the sign. You are being harvested. Your co-creation ability is being sabotaged and drained to feed a reality you do not desire. Those entities, they are very sophisticated. They don't appear face to face, but slither into the emotions, turning your fear into a living entity. Conversely, those with a rich internal life, those who have spent years cultivating silence and understanding the mechanics of the claustrum, they will feel the presence of these strangers. They will see the stains in the energy field, the disturbances that do not belong to them. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is the most advanced early warning radar that human biology possesses. So how do we fight? Not with guns and bullets, and certainly not with prayer or begging. Remember well, prayer is the attitude of a slave, and this universe despises slaves. A beg or an ask will defeat you. You must learn the art of command. When the image of 3i Atlas appears in your head, instead of letting fear accompany it, actively replace it with an emotional tonality of indifference, or better yet, absolute control. Look at it and say with intent, no words needed, I see you, I know what you are, and I do not permit you to activate fear in me. You must hold that physical location in the brain, the connection point to consciousness, and emit a command of peace. This peace is not passivity. It is an energy rampart stopping the negative resonance. When you do this, you cut their fuel source. The slave engine will stall right at the threshold of your mind. Do not let yourself be drained. This is a crucial concept. In the cosmology of these entities, negative emotional ender, what some call loosh, is a precious resource. When 8 billion people panic in unison, it is a lavish feast for them. They instigate wars, disasters, and now this astronomical event just to harvest that energy. If you participate in fearful debates on social media, if you share doomsday rumors, you are a diligent employee on their farm. Sobriety is the strongest weapon. Turn off the TV, stop doom scrolling through the garbage news, and return to your own eternal now. Focus on your breath, on your physical body, on the chair you are sitting on, the things you are actually co-creating right now. This internal war requires ruthlessness with your own weak ego. You must kill the old self, the self that likes to play the victim, that likes to cry out for imaginary saviors. No one is coming to save you. Jesus, Buddha, or anyone else showed the way, but they cannot walk it for you. In fact, relying on their hierarchy is just another trap. You hold the key to the monad. If you don't turn the key, the door won't open. 3i Atlas is the final exam to see if humanity is ready to graduate from the universe's kindergarten, or if we still need alien babysitters to herd and drain us. The true survivors of 2025 are not those who hoarded the most canned food, but those who kept the coldest heads and the steadiest hearts. Observe everything as a play. Do not jump onto the stage to be an actor in their script. You are the director of your reality. Yell, "Cut!" when the scene doesn't suit you, and rewrite the next scene with a command of authority sent to the pleroma. That is how you win this invasion, by refusing to participate in their illusion and steadfastly constructing your own reality. Hello, humans listening out there. We are standing at the very last pages of November. And when you look back at the journey we have just traversed, take a deep breath and congratulate yourselves, because you have almost done it. you have almost completely survived this turbulent year of 2025. Look at it. The coastal flooding, the floods, the political and social chaos that the media has been blaring about all year long. Most of that bad stuff is actually behind us already. We are heading toward the finish line, but it is precisely in these final meters that sobriety becomes more important than ever. Do not let yourself fall off the horse right before the finish line just because you got distracted by a light show called 3IATLAS Atlas or whatever other name they might throw out this coming December. This is not the time for fear. This is the time to solidify your position as a master of reality. 3I Atlas, or the presence of these alien entities in the field of consciousness, is essentially just a final exam for humanity before stepping into a new cycle. It is a test to see if you are still a sheep easily herded into the pen by fear, or if you have graduated and become a conscious co-creator. Those aliens, they might be lurking in our eternal now, sharing mental space with us, but they do not possess absolute power. The real power lies with the one who holds the key to the monad, and that person is you if you know how to use it. In the coming days, a division will become very clear. You will see two types of people. The first type is the panicked crowd, those with no internal life, whose minds are empty like an abandoned house leaving the door open for anyone to walk in. They will be swept away by the vortex of news, becoming fuel for that slave engine we discussed. But there will be a second type of person, and I hope you are standing in these ranks. These are the people who have built a very rich internal life through years of practice and observation. These people will look at 3I Atlas and just smile. They will feel the presence of the intruders. They will see the unusual ripples in the energy field, but they will not be swept into it. They stand firm like rocks amidst the rushing water, because they know that the external reality is merely a reflection of the internal command. Remember, this universe, this vast pleroma, this abundant fullness is always waiting for your command. It does not care who you are. It only cares what signal you are emitting. Do not waste that power worrying about doomsday. Use it to construct the ending for 2025 that you desire. Use it to paint a 2026 of autonomy and prosperity. You are the coder for this reality software. Do not let anyone else hold your keyboard. Those entities might try to hack the system, but they can only succeed if you forget your own administrator password. My final advice to you is this: keep on, keep on. Do not stop, do not doubt, and do not look back at the rubble of old dogma. It is not that bad. The veil of illusion is falling, and the light of truth is starting to seep through the cracks. All you need to do is hold firm to the intent. Hold firm to the emotional tonality of peace and strength. Do not let the fear of an inanimate rock or uninvited guests dim your own light. You have made it this far. Walk these final steps with the posture of a winner. See you on the other side of 2025, where we will no longer be victims of the universe, but its architects. Keep on, keep on.